Good morning. We are so glad to have you here to show your appreciation to our veterans, to those who wore the uniform and those who currently wear the uniform of our nation's military. Before I go any further, if you don't mind, if you're a veteran, would you please stand? Thank you. Thank you. You may be seated for now. I want to welcome all of you to our ceremony in honor of these men and women. It is right and proper that we're gathered here today to celebrate their service to our country. If not for them and others who have gone before them, as we all know, we could not have the privilege to assemble here, and we would not be allowed the many freedoms this nation provides for its citizens. At this time, we will have the presentation of the colors by the Austin High School Junior ROTC under the leadership of Sergeant First Class Taunton. Please rise and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem. Calhoun student and veteran Basil Burchekas will come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? There we go. Right, left, forward, mark, left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left, left, left.
Right now, I have the privilege of introducing to you a gentleman we are delighted to have as our guest. We are honored this morning to have as our guest speaker a man of impeccable credentials, both civilian and military. Commander Virgil Whitlow, United States Navy, retired. Commander Whitlow completed his distinguished military career with service on both sides of the salute. First, as an enlisted hospital corpsman, and the remainder as a commissioned officer after completing Aviation Officer Candidate School. Commander Whitlow is a graduate of the U.S. Navy Test Pilot School and has accumulated over 3,500 fixed-wing flight hours in 28 different aircraft. We're going to let that soak in just for a second. Yes, I said 3,500 flight hours. Among other accolades, he was awarded the Navy Air Medal for conducting missions over Iraq, supporting Army convoy operations. A graduate of Georgia State University, he is currently a senior acquisition analyst for Modern Technology Solutions. Please help me welcome Commander Virgil Whitlow.
First of all, good morning, everyone. When you say that stuff out loud, it sounds like a big deal. But, give me a second to take all of this in. Miss Sweeney called me a couple months ago. Before she called, Rodney called and said, hey, I need a favor. Can you speak at our Veterans Day program? And I said, of course. Miss Sweeney called and she said, hey, it may be 5, 6 people. So as I look out, we have at least 10,000 in here. So I appreciate it. I want to thank Calhoun for inviting me. I appreciate it. I want to thank all you folks for coming. It's amazing because I probably wouldn't come this far to listen to me talk, but I'll tell you my experiences and my appreciation for what this country has provided me. Ms. Sweeney, thank you very much for all the help and direction you've given me. Rodney, most of you guys know he's the new Dean of Mathematics, but before he was the Dean of Mathematics. Jordan, can you put the picture up for me? I'm the good-looking one in front. At least I thought I was. So Rodney and I grew up in Roanoke, Alabama. My head's the same size it was then. So Rodney's parents and my parents, high school friends, my dad and his dad played football together, and I've known Rodney as far back as I can remember. So it's really nice to come out and help him out. Miss Sweeney said, hey, I asked her, I said, hey, what do I talk about? And she said, well, just tell some stories. And if many of you know, Navy stories are probably not shared in this kind of environment. So I'll tell you some other stories. Some of them may be made up. But many times people find out that you're a veteran, and the first thing they say is, thank you for your service. In a prime example, Dr. Cross this morning, first thing he said is, all you veterans, please stand. Thank you for your service. I don't know what you say when people tell you that. I used to just kind of smile or walk away or what do you say? I don't know. So to help me, help you understand how I see it, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me, and then at the end, I'll tell you what I say. Out in the foyer there, where is he? He asked me a question. He said, have you always wanted to be in the military? And I said, no, not really. Everybody has that vulnerable point in their life where they're influenced. I was a 14-year-old, I guess, freshman in high school. It was an impromptu assembly. Everybody at the school is called into the auditorium, and a Navy admiral is talking about taking his submarine under the polar caps and such. I was absolutely mesmerized. And from that day on, all I've ever wanted to do is be in the Navy. Not in the military. All I wanted to do was be in the Navy. I didn't want to be on a submarine. Let's clear that up. I didn't want to be on a submarine, but I wanted to be in the Navy. Good and bad. I didn't do a lot of hard studying in high school because I was going in the Navy. And for a lot of you, as a 14-year-old in 70-something, I guess, there was a thing called the TV guide. And my grandmother had the TV guide. Every week she had to get it. And inside the TV guide was a little postcard. You fill that thing out and you send it in. Most companies did that. Well, the Navy had one. I filled that thing out and I sent it in. And they actually sent me a letter as a 14-year-old. And the letter said something like, "Thank you very much for your interest. Please call us back in a few years when you're older." And my grandmother kept that for a long, long time. When I graduated from high school, I could not get out of Roanoke, Alabama fast enough. I enlisted, and the first place they sent me was San Diego, California. Alabama to San Diego at 18. It wasn't the best decision for the Navy, but it worked out. I was hoping that President Klauber was going to be here because he and I have something in common that I'm sure he doesn't know. He and I were in Charleston at the same time in the late 80s. I was an enlisted troop and he was at the Citadel, a great time in my life. I spent 4 years as an enlisted guy. I was a hospital corpsman. I did a year at the Naval Hospital in Charleston, the greatest job I've ever had. I was the assistant to the doctor in the labor and delivery room. The year I was there, I think we delivered something like 300 kids. An amazing job. I thought it was fantastic. I went to a ship after that, and then I realized that there was a little more to life than what I was doing, and I knew education was the key. So I found a school, Georgia State University. I enrolled and started studying hard. I had the intentions of being an accounting major. After one class, I realized that was not going to be in my future. I ended up getting a mathematics degree, and before you get too excited, I could not save my life right now by doing a math problem. I got it done then. Shortly before my senior year, the Navy called because I knew a guy who knew a guy, and he was a recruiter. He said, "Hey, the Navy's looking for pilots. Have you thought about joining the Navy?" And I said, "No, I've already been in." I gave myself 6 months. If I didn't have a job in 6 months, then I'd do that. Well, beginning of senior year, all of my friends were getting jobs in the Atlanta public school system teaching math, and that was not something I wanted to do. So I did a little research, and please forgive me, but I saw how much airline pilots made, and I was like, I'm gonna go be a pilot. I get to flight school, kid from Alabama, never been in an airplane other than my trip from Atlanta to San Diego. I've never been so sick in my life. And this is the first flight. I got hundreds more before I'm done with this thing. I'll never forget, the instructor I had was a super nice guy. We were flying around, he's showing me all this stuff, and all I want to do is throw up. And I finally did. And they say if you throw up, you feel better, but I didn't. I get out of the airplane, and I have my puke bag, excuse my language, but I put it on the wing of the airplane, and it hit, and it sounded like a rock. And he said, "What is in there?" I said, "I have no idea." And I was ready to be like, look, this ain't gonna work, because I could not do this, for another 6 months. But I had no other options. And I got better with the sickness, I got better with the flying, and all of a sudden I realized that I had a knack for hand-eye coordination, and I was a pretty good pilot, and I did relatively well. An enlisted troop, now I'm a pilot. I was pretty excited, but I tried to remain humble about what I was doing. I have definitely overachieved all expectations. Or maybe I haven't, I don't know, but I remember telling my mom that I was going to go be a pilot, and her first response was, You don't think there's something else you can do? Not what I thought, but the Navy flying airplanes has provided me quite a few things, and I just jotted down some of those things. I flew airplanes for 20 years. I've traveled the world. I've developed a love for golf, and I've played golf all over the world. Going to the Navy Test Pilot School is probably one of the greatest accomplishments that I've achieved. If you don't know much about the Test Pilot School, it is the precursor to the astronaut program. Every astronaut that you see who was either in the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, every one of those guys has attended the Test Pilot School. I was in a class of 32. Of those 32, I was the only one who had no desire to go into outer space. You guys thought I was going to say I was the only one. No, I have nothing in outer space. I left nothing in outer space, and I had no desire to go. But the fact that I got accepted to the program and I got through the program, it is a graduate degree in academics, a graduate degree in writing, and a graduate degree in flying. And you do all three every day for a year. By far the hardest thing I've ever done. And one of the proudest things I've ever done. I've had a chance to live in 8 different cities. I didn't live in cool places like London and Moscow and all this stuff. I lived in places like Pensacola, Florida, Lubbock, Texas, Oklahoma City, Lexington Park, Maryland. If you've never been there, no reason for you to go. I lived in Omaha, Nebraska, surprisingly a great place to live. Those are the kind of places that I live. But still, 8 different cities, great place to live. I was fortunate enough to work on the flight deck of one of the greatest war machines man has ever built, a USS George Washington. Is a nuclear-powered carrier. I was on that ship for 2 years. Of those 2 years, I was gone at least, my wife would say at least 18 months. To do the math for you, that's 6 months at home over a 2-year span, and we had young kids at the time. But I had 271 sailors working for me. Of those 271, 90% of those kids were 18 to 21. With that comes captain's mast, police stations, court, hospital, all of that. But it also comes with the satisfaction that when the job needed to get done, those guys would stay on the ship. They would work day and night to get it done. And I was so grateful for all of that they did for me and for the ship. The air medal that Dr. Cross talked about, I was fortunate enough to support the Army in their efforts. You remember years ago, the Army had these long convoys in Iraq, and they were so long that they were being ambushed either in the front or the back, and they couldn't get help. Well, they outfitted our airplane with this comm package, and every other day, I would take off out of Al-Udeid, that's in Qatar, south of the Persian Gulf. I would take off every afternoon about 2 o'clock. I would get to Iraq. I would air refuel. I'd top off my tanks, and we'd fly around over Iraq, over Baghdad for 10 hours. And during those 10 hours, there would be young kids calling for help because they were being ambushed. And the sobering part was you could hear bullets, you could hear gunfire, and it was gratifying to be able to do something to help them by calling in some kind of support. I'm very proud of the work we did. Out of the 60 days, I flew 30 missions, which awarded me the Combat V medal, which the Navy gives for those 30 missions. But most importantly, what the military or the Navy has done is it has provided me an opportunity to provide for my family. I have a wife that I met in college. We've been married. It'll be next week. Wow. Next week will be 23 years. I have a 20-year-old. He's a junior at the Naval Academy, studying chemistry. His main goal is to do better than his dad. I wish him luck. I have a freshman at Alabama who's a professional partier right now. Hopefully he's going to get with the program. And I have a ninth grade daughter at James Clemens who still the light hasn't come on, and I'm required to rush home every day to yell at her about something. So in July 2011, July 15th, I retired from Omaha, Nebraska. That Sunday, I packed up the car and we drove to Huntsville. We didn't have a car. We didn't have a house. We didn't have a job. We didn't know anybody. I don't even think I knew Rodney was here. But we knew we were living in Huntsville. Yes, it's funny. But it all worked out. I knew a guy who knew a guy, and he offered to help me get a job, and I've been very fortunate to work for MTSI. My first job here in Huntsville, I worked at MDA doing God's work, building these special projects that I can't talk about, can't tell you where I've been or where we went. It was a pretty nice job. I did that for about 5 years, and now I'm working for the Navy, back to my roots, back to my home. I work for the Navy on a new missile program. It's called the JAGM, the Joint Air-to-Ground Missile, that flies around on the Apache and flies around on the Marine Corps Cobra. We're developing that, and I love it. So all of that stuff that I just said about where I've been, what I've done, moving back to Alabama has been great. And I will tell you, when I left, 30-something years ago, it was not, man, I can't wait to get back to Alabama. It wasn't that at all. But now that I'm back, and I'm older and wiser, I'm still immature, but older. Alabama is a great place for veterans. They have benefits. They are very veteran friendly. I have no complaints about moving to Alabama. All that being said, had I not been in the military, had I not served my country, I can't even conceive the question of, well, what would you be doing now? I have no idea. God forbid I'd be teaching math in Atlanta public schools right now. But all these things are possible because of my service to my country. So when people say, thank you for your service, and I used to say, you're welcome, or sure, what I say now is, no, no, no. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to serve my country. Thank you for allowing me to do all the cool things that I've done. It is an amazing ride that I've been on. Hopefully this ride will continue because I have at least 15 more years of working. So to do that, you've got to enjoy what you're doing. And right now, I enjoy it and I appreciate it. So I want to say thank you to Calhoun for putting on a Veterans Day program, recognizing what our sailors and Marines and soldiers have done. Thank you very much. And Dr. Klauber, welcome. And thank you for allowing me to come. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Commander Whitlow. What fine remarks, and what a distinguished and modest man you are. And we thank you for being here with us. Earlier, I asked the veterans to stand, and many of you, and all of you did, and many of you are our students at Calhoun. And we wish you could all come up here and talk, because you all have stories to tell. But we would like to invite at this time one of our Calhoun students who is an Army veteran, and she's going to come up and say some words to you. Miss Danielle Johnson, if you would come up, Danielle, we'd appreciate it.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Danielle Johnson, and I am a U.S. Army veteran. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here with you today as we come together to remember to honor the service and sacrifice of our nation's finest and bravest. Veterans Day is an opportunity to honor and give thanks to those who have served or are serving our military. I served 12 and a half years in the United States Army as a 92 Alpha, which is an automated logistical specialist. My duties were to supervise, perform management of warehouse functions in order to maintain equipment records and parts. My duty stations included different places such as Kitzingen, Germany. Now that was a shell shock because little old country girl from Louisiana, 5 traffic lights, no Walmarts, going to a foreign country away from mom and dad. Big no-no. So that was scary. Fort Hood, Texas, and Fort Stewart, Georgia. I also deployed twice to Iraq in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. I'm also proud to be a part of my family's legacy. My grandfather was a World War II veteran, my father, Vietnam, my stepfather, Vietnam, my uncle, a Desert Storm veteran, and my son is continuing the legacy as he serves in the Army Reserves. I would just like to take a moment to say thank you to the men and women who served before me to allow me to serve. And I would like to conclude by asking you to keep the fallen in your memory and their families and their friends in your hearts, for it is their immense collective sacrifice that have helped keep our country safe and free. So thank you.
Look at there, Danielle. Thank you. Thank you, Danielle, so much, and thank you again for your service. Commander Whitlow mentioned, we don't want to embarrass him, but he mentioned the president of Calhoun, our president, Dr. James Clobber, who is sitting right here. And Dr. Clobber, I certainly don't mean to embarrass you, but do you mind letting people know which one you are? Good. Good. And again, I don't want to put him too much on the spot, but I thought you might like to speak to him after the services here today. Not only is Dr. Clobber our college president, he is an attorney. He has a PhD, but most importantly today, he is Colonel Clobber. He is a retired lieutenant colonel from the South Carolina Army National Guard. So, Colonel, we're glad you could be here with us today, and thank you for your support of this program. Yeah. Okay. Right now, we have a really special treat. All of these have been special, but we have, under the direction of Mr. Joshua Couts, the Calhoun Stage Band, the Jazz Band, and we're going to ask them to come out, and they're going to perform for us a medley of music, military martial music, entitled Salute to Our Veterans. And this is always one of my favorite parts of the program. And as they play this medley, Salute to Our Veterans, we're going to invite all veterans who, when you hear the song of your branch of service, to stand. And so now the Calhoun Jazz Band and members of the chorale, Mr. Counts.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all so much. As we're winding down the program, Dr. Clobber, would you like to come forward and greet the crowd? I know that, Colonel, sir, but
Thank you. First off, I have to apologize for coming in late. I was not AWOL, but on sick leave, so I hope I get an excuse for that. But it's always great to get in at the last minute, at least to hear the chorale and the jazz band, and to see that our speaker has excellent choice in neckwear, even though he did serve in the Navy, which we all know exists to carry the Army's stuff around. But nonetheless, see, if you're not a veteran, you just don't get these type of jokes, you know. But nonetheless, it's great that each and every one of you came out today to spend time with us and to honor these great vets. And I tell you, like you, from listening to your speech, other than my faith, my service to my country has been the North Star that I have followed. It's been my compass, really, for the majority of my life. And you know, I don't know that my life would be tremendously different had I not enlisted at 17 and had lived the service as an enlisted and commissioned officer. So I'm very grateful to the Americans who allowed me to do that. So it is a great honor. And thank you all for serving, and thank you all for coming and recognizing our service. Thank you.